sponsored by the Elder Scrolls Online Morrowind.
Is Hammond the next Overwatch hero? And if so, who or what is he? With the Horizon Lunar map now available, let's see if we can find out what went on there, and what information we can gain about the world of Overwatch, now that we have a bird's eye view. First of all, let's take a look at Hammond. He's mentioned in two locations. The first is an email titled "Have You Seen Me?", in which one of the scientists talks about a missing specimen. This was of course sent a number of years ago, prior to the killing of the scientists on the base. The second location is much more recent. This is a report from the monitoring system on the base that remains active today. We can see that Winston and Hammond are both listed as missing, however all the other apes are still on the base. Winston of course came to Earth and we know his story, but what about Hammond? The email refers to him as being a smaller test subject. In fact, the specific wording is that I don't know why we thought it was a good idea to have smaller test subjects. So does that mean whatever species of animal Hammond is, that there was more than one of them? It also says his cage has been empty for a week, which again differentiates him from the gorillas who have their own personal rooms. Now, I've looked all over the map and I can't find a cage, but if you've seen one, please let me know in the comments. Another of the emails talks about strange noises coming from the ventilation, and in the game, if you listen closely, you can certainly hear some strange sounds. What those noises could be is anyone's guess, but we know some of the apes are loose in the rest of the base, so maybe it's them, or perhaps it's whatever was making the noises back when the email was sent. Could it be Hammond? Maybe he's still on the base, but undetected by the monitoring system. So what could Hammond be? Essentially, it's possible for him to be anything smaller than a gorilla, but that doesn't really narrow it down. Some people have speculated a chimpanzee, and there is a voice line from Tracer that could possibly support this.
Chimston!
So maybe this is her response to meeting another space ape? Or perhaps she's just joking with Winston, we don't know yet. Another rather interesting fact is that the first chimp to be sent to space was actually called Ham, and although it's probably just a coincidence, Mond is German for moon. But as it stands, there is no rock solid evidence to support the idea of him being a chimp. However, there was another so-called leak about the map, and a new hero. This all came out before the recent patch, but keep in mind that nothing in here is official. However, since similar leaks have been relatively accurate in the past, I'll give you the highlights. The post claims that a new hero is a chimpanzee with cybernetic enhancements. He's a support hero who places barriers and a stun beacon. It also talks about the new map, and that we'll be getting an animated short giving us more information on the moon base and the new hero, as well as some cosmetics added to the game. One thing that gives the leak some credibility is that the author noted being able to change gravity settings in custom games, and that is a bit of an obscure thing to guess. However, other elements are incorrect, such as the release date of the map and some specific details about the map's structure. So take those details with a pinch of salt. We have no idea if any of it's true, and just as much of the post has been incorrect as has been correct. For now, let's get back into some details that are definitely in the game, like what happened to the moonbase itself. Liu Cheng Interstellar set up the Horizon Lunar Colony with a number of scientific goals in mind. Among them was testing the effect of prolonged habitation in space on a group of genetically enhanced gorillas. One of the gorillas became close to Dr. Harold Winston, and was taught science and a love for the planet Earth by his beloved father figure. However, the other apes were more restless. The endless days of experimentation and study eventually took their toll, and the apes rose up, killing the scientists and claiming the base for themselves. Throughout the map and in a blog post from Blizzard, we can see messages between the scientists talking about some of the apes being troublemakers, in particular one called Simon. The scientists confine the apes to their rooms in an attempt to keep control, but later there are reports of trouble with one of the airlocks. The email sent by Winston calls for the other scientists to come and help him, but could this actually have been a trap? Perhaps the gorillas sabotaged the airlock to draw the scientists towards it before locking them outside. One email does talk about missing tools, so maybe they used them to break the lock. Or perhaps the whole thing was a lie, and the email was sent by one of the gorillas with the same goal in mind. Until we get more information, it's hard to tell exactly how they lost their lives. Let's hope that the leak is legit and we get an animated short telling us the full story. Finally, we have the telescope and some interesting details relating to Earth itself. If you look through the telescope, you'll get a unique voice line for your hero, as well as a view over part of Europe.
Wow, I think I understand what Winston felt like now. looking back at the Earth from here.
There are a number of locations marked as potential landing sites, as well as Watchpoint Gibraltar. This is probably left over from Winston planning his escape to Earth, but maybe whoever Hammond is planning on following Winston. However, what I think is even more interesting are those two large circles of light, one in Spain and one in France. Whatever these things are, they are very large and brightly lit. I'm wondering if perhaps they could be omniums. If that's the case, they are gigantic, as big if not bigger than most human cities. They could also possibly be cities built by Vishkar. The corporation has built cities using their hard light technology in India, and they've also worked in Brazil. Reports in the past have said that they have a global presence, so perhaps these cities were built by them. The perfect circular shape feels like something they would desire. Also, we can see quite a lot of lights along the coast, but what about major cities like Madrid? They seem to no longer exist. So what do you think about Hammond? Would he be a chimp or something else? Will he even be a playable hero? And what are those circles? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. As always, this is James for Curse saying thanks for watching and enjoy the game.
Try out the new Warden class to harness the power of nature and fight with a war bear at your side.